a real-life application of game theory on the topic of net neutrality. My inspiration for this topic stems from the fact that we all have mobile phones and use them daily to check our mail, watch YouTube, and most arguably the most important reason is to stay connected. I am personally a big fan of YouTube and watch a lot of tech channels, including the likes of Taylor's of Tech and MKBHD. Recently, both of these channels have been talking about the potential change to net neutrality laws in the US and how it could affect their platforms. This got me wanting to do more research on the topic and hence brought this video to you today. So what is net neutrality? Net neutrality makes sure that internet service providers treat all content equally and do not give preference to specific digital content providers. That means the consumer can load every website, app, video, GIF equally, regardless of where the content is hosted. This is the internet as we know it today in the UK. In 2015, the Federal Communications Commission approved a set of new regulation that directly focus on maintaining an open internet that does not favour big businesses. Internet is now classified as a public utility. However, 2 years later in January 2017, Donald Trump appoints Republican Ajit Pai as newest chairman of Federal Communications Commission. From the beginning, it is clear he is against net neutrality, calling it heavy-handed and suggests it's on its way out. He intends to repeal net neutrality rules that classify the internet as a public utility. On the 14th of December 2017, there will be a vote to undo these regulations that were put in place in 2015. If Ajit Pai gets his way, then net neutrality rules will be repealed, thus allowing broadband companies to slow down or block any sites or apps they wish. They can even begin to charge users to view certain websites and give better control to big businesses. The consequences of repealing net neutrality are especially problematic for areas that only have a few internet service providers. This is due to the fact that consumers will have a limited choice and will inevitably be forced to accept regulations set by their local ISPs. The latest FCC Internet Service Report shows that only 24% of developed areas in the US have at least 2 ISPs. I will attempt to use game theory to model this problem and predict what could happen in these areas with only 2 internet service providers if net neutrality laws were to be repealed. This is the game. It is as follows. There are 2 players, Comcast and AT&T. These are the 2 biggest internet providers in the US. I'm going to assume that each ISP can only make 2 choices, to either restrict internet access or allow open access. It is important to remember that even if the laws on net neutrality are relaxed, it is inevitably down to each ISP to decide if they are going to restrict users. In this game, I assume there is imperfect information, meaning Comcast and AT&T cannot discuss with each other their choices. I also assume their decision will be made simultaneously. The last assumption is that both of these players are rational and therefore look to maximize their own payoff. It can be seen that this game is in the form of a prisoner's dilemma. As you can see, the best case scenario for both ISPs is to leave their internet access open for consumers while their competitor restricts theirs. This is because all rational consumers will prefer an internet service that does not restrict their content, leaving the ISP with restrictions with no customers, hence the zero payoff. However, if both have open access, customers will be indifferent and they will both obtain on average 50% of the market share, hence the equal payoff of 1-1. Furthermore, if they were both to restrict their services, they will still split the market, but now they will have additional revenue by charging customers to view particular content. Looking at this game, it is clear that AT&T will never choose to restrict their services, as this action is strictly dominated by open, as 3 is greater than 2 and 1 is greater than 0. As this game is symmetrical, the same applies for Comcast. So hence we arrive at this unique Nash equilibrium of open-open. At this unique Nash equilibrium, no ISP has an incentive to change their strategy given what the other ISP is doing. The Nash equilibrium is not Pareto efficient, as restrict yields better payoffs for both ISPs. We can see that competition thus brings an outcome that is better in the eyes of society. Areas of only one ISP will simply restrict users. In reality, ISPs can potentially seek to obtain the Pareto efficient outcome of both restricting through collusion. Some areas in the US have 3 or more ISPs. It is difficult to predict what would happen under these circumstances. Also, this game has been modeled as a one-time game. This may not be truly representative of real life, as ISPs can change their policies throughout the year. Perhaps this model of the game is overly simplified, as ISPs will not only have the choice to restrict users or not, but also the extent to which they restrict users. This becomes more dynamic. Thank you for listening.